what problems could Bryan Johnson's blueprint solve? Now, there are a few different aspects to this question. First of all, what is blueprint? It is Bryan Johnson's approach to basically reverse his biological age or to reduce his speed of aging. These two are sometimes kind of the same, but can also be converted into one of each other. Now, biological age is basically how old your body actually is. So how healthy your body actually is could also be a synonym. Now, if you take your biological age and you divide it by your chronological age, so you take the biological age, BA, by chronological age, CA, then what you get is basically a proportion, you could say, or also a ratio. And this ratio now could be 1, for example. Let's assume I am 50 and my biological age is also 50, so both would be identical, therefore it would be 1.0. Now, if my biological age would be 25 because I'm super fit and also because I can still lift a lot and so on and so forth, then if all of these would result in biomarkers that could be measured and then could be put against other people of a similar age, and basically all of these different biomarkers would be equivalent to maybe a 25-year-old, then one would say that my biological age is actually younger and it would be 25, and what this would result in is that I would have an aging rate of 0.5, of 50% basically, you could also say. Now this is the lifetime average. Now one could also say within a given month, if I do a few very good things, can I actually improve my aging rate within a given month and then age slower in this given month? Because it's a rate, you can basically pick the time frame and then say this. Now the aging rate, the general aging rate, if you just take your biological age, your current biological age, and then divide it by your chronological age, is obviously kind of the main thing, which would be the average over your lifetime, at least until now. Not until you're dying, because you probably don't know when you will die. Now, this is kind of the basic idea. Now, why is this so useful? Because it seems, and more people seem to say this, and also more and more studies seem to come out, that as you age, as your biological age, and mostly also your chronological age, because often these are kind of the same, goes up, your risk for lots of diseases also go up. Not necessarily in a linear fashion, and also these different risks might have different kind of correlations with your age going up, so basically with time going forward. But the idea now is, what if you can basically turn back the clock and get the risks of somebody who is maybe a 25-year-old or maybe 18-year-old? What is the chance of this 18-year-old breaking a bone while skiing compared to an 85-year-old breaking a bone while skiing, and this leading him to hospital where he then gets infected with a disease, for example, and then he doesn't ever get out of hospital and then seems to die soon. Now the idea is to basically go back, to roll back the time and to reduce the biological age or to reduce the aging rate. Now this is kind of what Bryan Johnson is trying to do. And what he has achieved so far is a result in his recent aging test, which is measuring DNA methylation of 0.71. What this now means is that he ages basically at 70% of the rate of other people. Now, or compared to him, if he would have the normal aging rate of a 45-year-old or a 46-year-old, as he is now. Now, the bigger picture he calls this is called blueprint. And what blueprint then actually is a kind of protocol. Similar to Andrew Huberman's protocol, this would also be a protocol. The basic idea is kind of the management cycle. You could also call this the scientific method, as all of these kind of converge onto maybe a simplified version like this. In the beginning, there is something. Then you act or you do something. You could also call this, well, acting or doing something. Then you have a next point, and then you measure this point, and then you plan again. And then you act again and measure and plan and act and measure and so on and so forth. Now, till now, if I go to the doctor and I have, let's say, high values in my blood, for example, then the doctor tells me there is something wrong with you, maybe, and let's try to find out. Now, a doctor currently, one could say, is basically an algorithm that tries to combine all the different knowledge that came to him at some point in time, and then tries to see basically the symptoms and try to then revert this back to the cause of this issue, and then try to, in real time, give the perfect recommendation. Okay, you take this drug and let's try to see if this gets better. Now, what this doesn't include at this point in time is data that could be also measured with the doctor currently not knowing. So what if I just didn't sleep very well the last 3 months, and therefore I have a very high blood marker in this regard? Or what if so basically the problem is that the knowledge, the medicine knowledge, you could also say, is constrained to one single's brain currently, and is not, of course, this one single's brain, because we can actually take lots of data and then compress it and then say, okay, this is the result of the study, and therefore I am now recommending this. And then somebody else says, okay, I compared these 10 different studies and I'm compressing this down into this small paragraph, and this is what then we are working with, and so on and so forth. We can basically take large amounts of data, introduce it. Now, of course, the interpretation of the data will always be something that can be improved, and medicine has, one could say, in the global picture, not the global picture, but maybe the historic picture even, has not been that targeted, for example, to an individual, but much more based on the average. So if I go to the doctor and I get a blood result, then I have 2 ranges, and these 2 ranges are normal. But what if they are not normal for me in basically, as of now, a young version of me compared to an 85-year-old? If both have kind of the same normal range, and this is what we are currently working with, then of course this is leaving out additional information. What if for 25-year-olds, for example, there would be a range that would be here, and this would be better? And of course, because it is currently not that individualized, and this is also what Peter Attia argues about in his book Outlive, that there will be a medicine that would be a next version of medicine that also would include lots more data. And now Bryan Johnson is basically stating or saying, what if I include all the data that we can include, and then we try to basically reduce my biological age? Now, he has come up with basically a meal plan, a behavior plan, and also a supplements plan and a protocol plan, but the protocols are much more the behaviors, one could say. So the behaviors could be working out a specific time for a specific set of exercises and so on and so forth. The meal plan could be, I eat this at this specific point of the day, and this seems to have these benefits. And now he has come up with this plan, and he now is selling a product. The first product has been olive oil, and the next product will be coming out in January 2024. And then there is an additional product which will also come out. We actually can take a look at the product listing as of now. And this product listing as of now is 3 different sets. So the first set would be 50 plus actives and is called FOMO, fear of missing out, and it would include olive oil plus a longevity mix plus 2 additional supplements. The first one being essential capsules and the other one essential soft gels, whatever is then in there. Then the middle one would be called YOLO, which is short for you only live once, and it would be the same as the starter pack, and then it would also include the different meals in powder form in these pouches. Now this is Andrew Huberman, but let's go back to these here, and the premium tier, probably premium tier, would then include 200 plus actives. I assume this is active ingredients of these kits, and it would also include other things, fun things for a whole day's food to be shared with. He also already shared pictures of a nut butter which consists out of walnuts and macadamia nuts, I think. And the third stack is called the autonomous self stack. Now, if we take a look at these 3 products, what seems to be not included at this point in time is something similar to Inside Tracker, for example. Now, I recently actually got Inside Tracker. What is Inside Tracker? It takes the different blood panels you have. This can be historic ones, or it will always be historic ones because it cannot include future ones. But as soon as you get them, you can basically input them into Inside Tracker. They also have an automatic upload feature, and then you get back interpretation. So what they actually give out mostly is food recommendations. So they say, okay, eat more nuts because your cholesterol, for example, is too high, and therefore you should incorporate more olive oil. You should also maybe incorporate, this is just an example which might not be an actual recommendation I got, and which might also not be correlational, or causational. So the behavior might not actually reduce cholesterol, for example. And then based on these recommendations, you can actually then try these different things and then go back. Now, because blood panel testing or blood testing is still fairly expensive, and it probably is not something everybody can achieve at this point in time financially. Many people probably just might not do this. This is also maybe one of the main reasons insurance doesn't cover something like this. What insurance does cover is what an expert, and not you, thinks that is useful. So if I go to the doctor and I say, okay, it might be this, and the doctor says, okay, let's check these 3 markers, then this is currently seen as cost effective. And just checking for everything might not even turn out to be something that's useful, because there is a certain error rate that comes with every single test. And if you then are positive in the test, but mostly not because you're actually positive, but because the test has a certain error rate and therefore has a certain false positive that you just then fall into, and then you might go to another doctor, and eventually it turns out you don't have anything just because of this one false positive test. So there's also basically a question of whether overtesting. Of course, overtesting is bad already because it's overtesting, so therefore it's basically everything that is above optimal, but that's just the language definition of the word. But let's come back to what Blueprint now could be. It could be Insight Tracker, plus it could basically take whatever you are spending in groceries and basically send these groceries automatically to you. What it also could do additionally in the future is to individualize what you are getting actually. Now, not only individualizing the supplements, so it could say, okay, your cholesterol is too high, let's reduce something in this overall stack, and maybe also let's change your workout routine slightly to reduce cholesterol. And then within the next test, this might be a blood test, this might be that Blueprint could connect to Garmin, it could connect to Apple Health. It therefore could basically connect to all the different things. Maybe it might even include Andrew Huberman's protocols, for example, and it might then check on your Galaxy Watch based on the brightness sensor, and then integrate basically over Samsung Health and maybe also with Garmin how much sunlight did you actually get, and whether this could also be a potential cause for this result, and so on and so forth. So the future of something like Blueprint might be the integration of multiple data sources, and ideally lots of data sources. Ideally all the data sources you can basically get or people are willing to sign up for, and then trying to improve upon this. This is kind of the big picture thinking, at least I am thinking of Blueprint as Bryan Johnson puts this out. And of course maybe another approach by another entrepreneur or another health company might be better at solving this problem, but there again comes the competition of different companies into place. But what Blueprint also could be is something else. If there are actually now people signing up and they are willing to pay for this, what if Blueprint had just an option to, okay, let's also make this data available for research. And what if Blueprint then is able to basically conduct research, food research? Okay, we give these people exactly this, and then this person, at least all the people who said that they actually ate only this, then turn out in 3 months' time to have these blood values. And as of now, mostly because of maybe cost reasons, mostly because of maybe motivational reasons, it is not really possible, or it is fairly constrained, at least according to Peter Attia, to do good food studies. So you can only mostly observe, okay, this person has eaten a vegan diet for this many years and now this is what they look like, for example. But what if people who tend to eat a vegan diet are people with a certain gene that tends to do well, that turns out, or that results in the fact that these people tend to do well in vegan diets, whereas other people might steer away from these diets because they cannot use these diets very well. Now, because of these effects, and this might be just correlation now, but what if Blueprint now puts people who are willing to sign up for this and are already paying for this already, paying for this already, what if Blueprint puts them basically on a research program that actually, says then, we have these people and they at least say, according to themselves, which might not be the best solution overall, but that they ate basically only the things we sent to them. And because these people are kind of motivated, and also maybe they have been following Bryan Johnson, and maybe because therefore Bryan Johnson's a typical follower of Bryan Johnson might already be a very good filter for somebody who might sign up for a very specific diet. And because they are basically following the approach they think is the best anyway, compared to a randomized trial, for example, where you might turn out to be the one that eats McDonald's all day, it might also be something that can be maintained over a very long time, and so there might also be options for doing some research while doing Blueprint, at least for the people who want to sign up for this. So this is what Blueprint, at least for the individual, as a kind of wellness program, but that's not really what the bigger picture, I think, is best described as could be, or what Blueprint could be.